So let's talk about how to conceptualize your design. Well, there are a lot of, after doing a lot of your research, after doing your personal research and everything, you will end up creating wireframes. That's pretty much the most important responsibility of a product manager. In certain companies, wireframes is not something a product manager would be doing, and in certain companies, wireframe is something that product manager will be doing. In my opinion, a good product manager should have a good hold and understanding of how a certain interface should look like or should be arranged. Okay, so now that we have understood the business implications of user experience design, it is important to learn how to make these user experiences a reality. That is, how do we conceptualize the user experience design? User experience is intangible, right? But how do we represent it effectively so that now we can communicate it effectively to business stakeholders and team members? And for that, you need to create something which is the most basic, most integral, the first step, which is wireframes. What is a wireframe? It's basically a visual layout of a digital interface using very simple shapes. You'll not, basically, it's a very low fidelity version of your final version. And why do you do that? So that you can quickly iterate and you can get feedback. Okay, without letting people start questioning about the color choices, about the font choices. They're simply talking about the form. They're talking about the structure of the entire information. And that helps in conveying the core concept very, very clearly. What is the function of a wireframe? It serves as the first building block for the design team. It also is the first document that you will start using to visually represent the final solution, right? And this helps in getting the entire team, the entire all the stakeholders on the same page. And like I said earlier, by removing the colors and everything and making it very cartoonish, you are effectively ensuring or forcing everybody to just judge the entire interface, the structure and the information flow, and not the images that are used and the fonts that are used and the colors that are used. They can be filled in later, but the flow, the structure cannot be. It will be much more costly to actually go back and change the structure, right? So wireframes prevent designers from concentrating on the details of a digital interface at the initial stages, instead forcing them to concentrate on the high level design decisions. Where should the image be, where should the structure be, where should the title be, and so on. What is the best time to wireframe? Well, it should always be in the initial phases when there is enough room for changes. In the initial phases, the details are less. For example, when you have a blueprint of a house, you only know how many rooms there will be in the house. You're not aware of where the lights and fans would be placed. So it is easy to change the layout at that stage. Similarly, here it is the best to wireframe when you have less details at hand, right? You can experiment. You can actually even take these wireframes to your potential customers and start showing them, show them that, okay, this is how the page is going to look like. Do you think you're going to use it, or how will you use it? What are the benefits? Like I said earlier, well, it wireframes serve as a very, very good communication tool for the team stakeholders, right? For the technical team, that is the engineers, the UX developers, they explains the page layout, the user experience, the user flow, everything. And for the non-technical team members, that is the sales and the operations and finance, it explains new features. It explains how the flow will be working, how the users are going to interact with the new features, and it also is able to point out the business impact due to the new features, right? And it kind of becomes a reference documentation for the teams to fall back, right? And using this wireframes, then you can start building your next steps. It's essentially the blueprint, or in a construction building, the you have blueprints. So you have in design world or in product development world, you have wireframes. So to conclude, I will recommend that you get into the habit of sketching out wireframes as early as possible, but not too early. You would at least need to get some semblance of what is a user need, what have they spoken about, what are the business objectives. Unless and until you do not have that, do not jump into designing wireframes. Okay, that doesn't help. So you need to have basic understanding of what business objectives are we chasing, what are the user needs, and then and what is the corresponding with that, what is the information design, what is the information architecture, and then you start creating wireframes. And also that wireframes would typically be one or two or three directions. You might end up creating three or four different completely different approaches to your solution, and that's perfectly fine, because at this stage these are meant to be expendable. You will create multiple of these mocks, and you will share with people, and then you will see what works, what doesn't work. Right? Thank you. That's it for now.